All right. Looks like everything's working. A little bit interesting. Cool. Sorry. All right, I'm live on Instagram. For some reason, Instagram's being funky on my comedy account, saying I can't go live for some reason. I tried to do some quick research and change web browser and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I previously went live, as far as I remember, so not sure why it's banning me. Maybe I got shadow banned or something like that for my rude comedy. Maybe got reported. I don't think that many people have really seen it, so I don't know. But this is not going live on Facebook. This one's just on Instagram. Once it kind of gets off live, I'm gonna post it over to Shane D Comedy. So it won't be a live video, but it'll be a normal video. Anyways, we'll see how it is. Basically, happy leap years, motherfuckers. Appreciate it. We're in the last 30 minutes, and then we're in March, which is my birthday month, and I'm gonna be a little birthday girl. It's my party. I can cry if I want to. So when March comes around, y'all have to be nice to me. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, coming clean. So I talked a little bit about some of like the anxiety and paranoia or just like stress or in my head I was feeling about why I kind of took a week off from going live. The truth be told, and this is something I need to like be a little easier on myself because like what's the big deal? I'm still not drinking, which I think is important, but honestly smoking was something that was really helping me stay motivated, focused, better sleep habits, eating habits, and stuff like that. And stupidly Saturday night, I got home from baseball. We had like smelled some weed in the car. It wasn't my weed, but it just smelled so good. And then I went out and watched some UFC fights. And then I was like this close to go to a strip club. And I was like, you know what? I'll just smoke that little nug and I'll feel better. I was like probably gonna blow like $100 on strip club, which now I'm like hindsight, I don't know, maybe that'd be better because I've since bought like another little bit of weed and then another bit and then even a bigger bit. So I definitely want to quit smoking again. I'm probably gonna end up smoking close through my birthday, but after that, definitely want to be done. Part of the reason, or at least the excuse I have, is it helps me with my coding that I'm doing. So I'm saying coding like CODING, not like COATING. So coding being like typing on the computer, programming, and stuff like that. There's some things I do. I don't know, I just think coding for me, for some reason, it's really hard to get in that mindset because there's a lot of just like sitting there, kind of got to think. So like often I'll use the rolling up and smoking the blunt to help me think more critically. And that's just a crutch. Like I think that's a cop out a little bit. And I have a few other excuses, but I do find that I was able in the past like week of smoking to get more done on my program than I did for a whole month. And I, even on my last call, I kind of complained that like, oh, it's wasted, waste of a month. But I wasn't working straight through the month on it. So I just got to find a way to kind of, I don't know, without totally losing my cool, do coding without smoking weed. So that's my coming clean. That's kind of like, if you watch my last video, I'm being like a little bit weird, being like, oh, I'll talk about why I kind of took a week off. Well, part of it was in my head. Part of it was after I missed the first day. It was just easy not to. And then, like I said, I just been smoking weed again. So been kind of down in the dumps there. By the time it's like 10 p.m., 11 p.m., my hair is messy. I'm like, oh, I need to like shower. I'm like, what am I going to go on the video with like wet hair? So weird how paranoia comes from weed. And I hadn't really taken a break from smoking in like years, more than like a week or so here. And every time I'd come back from that break, I'd always be so confident, happy, flirtatious with the girls, all this. And now it's like when I smoke, I lose all that drive. I get in my head, I get nervous. So I really don't want to smoke, but I do want to be able to get this coding stuff done and stuff like that. It's really cool. I'm working on like writing stories and stuff like that. I know a lot of people probably like, oh, you're using AI, that's cheating. Well, the AI sucks on its own, and I kind of suck at writing on my own. And so together, we make a half decent job. It's basically like I come up with the main idea, I tell it when it sucks, when it needs to do better, and then ultimately we get a pretty cool product. It's still in process or progress. I don't know what you're saying. It's a work in progress. Work in process. That's one of those weird like Rickyisms. I don't know. A work in process. It's a work. No, work in progress is the real word. Anyways, it's a work in progress. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want it to work. Unfortunately, I was trying to make it run really smoothly, and it seems like I had to kind of take a step back. That being said, it does seem like there's a way to fix it and make it run a little smoother. Basically, I need to like come up with a main window and have these other like sub windows working. We'll see. It's something to learn. Unfortunately, sometimes the learning barrier throws me off because I just want to like implement. I don't want to have to like learn new coding stuff, but that's the reality of it. I actually have a. I should just stick to schedule. Yeah. So I'm gonna stick to schedule. I'll go into it later, kind of about me wearing many hats, but we'll keep powering through. So we're already at 5 minutes. Awesome. So I'm trying not to be repetitive, but I also want to be consistent. And so that was part of the reason I wasn't kind of recording. I just felt like my updates were small. They're very repetitive. I'm like, what if instead of talking about doing the coding and then not doing it and then having the goal tomorrow, just doing the coding? And that worked somewhat. Unfortunately, a lot of these goals are just like open-ended, kind of month-long, quarter-long activities. And so, yeah, it's going to sound repetitive, but even if you're just chipping away at it, you can give like small updates instead of just vaguely saying, I'm going to work on it, being like, oh, well, today I implemented this, today I implemented that. Anyways, that'd be kind of cool to do. Yeah, just want to talk. Like, I kind of already mentioned it that the past week just kind of fell into my old ways. Not going to make myself wrong about it, just going to keep moving forward and ultimately progress to where I want to be. The new me recognizes, though, kind of the old ways and some of the shortcomings. And it is interesting, like, once you get to the other side of it, how apparent it is. And then when I find myself kind of going back into that unworkability zone, like even the smoking weed, I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Like, I really have no interest in smoking weed. Just before this, I'm smoking, and I'm like, this thing tastes like crap. Like, what am I even doing? And I'm just like, put it down. And so maybe I'll have a stricter rule that, like, I only do it while I'm kind of working on the coding, because that's the only time that I really need it, quote unquote. And I hate to say need it, but somehow I've created a monster where I do not like coding without having that blunt going, at least knowing one's rolled. So that's maybe a weakness to overcome. Frustration, a little bit, has been better, like my anger management and stuff like that. That was something that I had as a goal. I actually, like, sometimes when I'm wearing tight clothes, so I'm not in the tight clothes anymore, but I had like a jacket on and I had that jersey on that I wore that other day, and then I'm wearing like dress pants, and I just had stuff all in my pockets. And when I just, like, sometimes when I'm feeling constricted, I just get this anxiety, and it's helpful knowing about it, because when I start to realize it and I'm in these like tight clothes, I'll just like change into sweats, just really just comfy it up, and that seems to help a lot. But it was a mix of that, and then I was trying to leave the comedy place, and then I couldn't light the blunt because I'd have a lighter. I'm using one of those like old cigarette lighters from the car, not working very well. And then my dad calls me, and he's struggling, and he's like trying to like have me read a contract, but he's just reading it to me, and I'm like, I need to like see it to actually understand it. I'm one of those visual learners more than an audio learner. Audio I can do a little bit, but it's not quite the same level of understanding. So I was just like getting annoyed there, and I'm like, Dad, just let me, when I get home, I was like, can you at least email me the document and I'll check it out? He didn't even know how to email. And like, this guy got an online master's degree back in like, I want to say like '08, okay? Maybe even sooner than that. And I know it's been a long time, but you would think if the guy somehow figured out how to send emails and take class in '08, that by now he'd be like a wizard on the computer. Not the case. Things that I've taught him before, like how to switch between like tab alt and stuff like that, totally lost to him. Basically everything I spent like a month teaching him, gone. Which is just like, frustrating is not the right word, but it's just like, oh man, come on, I thought we got over this. And, you know, like they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Not mad at him. I'm just kind of surprised because I'm like, I thought you were smarter than this dude. And he is really smart. But it's just like, we were struggling sending an email. We were struggling finding where his downloads were going. And then I'm like, talking to him. He has me on FaceTime. I'm like, put it to the top left. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, top left, dude. I can't see your whole screen. He was like, zoomed in on the screen, like, just giving me a little window. Anyways, not really going to talk trash there. Is what it is. Yeah, click and drag wasn't quite working. I think there's a joke there, but I'm not quite ready to unleash it. Not really sure how to even do it. But yeah, we'll certainly see. So yeah, one thing I lesson learned in terms of joke writing, like I need to stop writing so many jokes that like when I'm there. But what happens is like as I'm rewriting my other jokes, I think of like new jokes or new funny things to say. And then completely unpracticed, I go up there and say them. I'd say it was 50-50 for a while. Now that I'm kind of out of most of my jokes, I'm probably shooting like 30% of like, if I just write a joke that day, like 1 out of 3 will actually hit. Some of them are too wordy. Because that's the thing is like, you start off really wordy and you gotta like chunk it down and stuff like that. So we'll see. I like to maybe practice off more peers and stuff like that. It's just tough. Like in your heart, you kind of know something's funny. You just like, it's kind of like the way you're saying it's wrong. You know what I mean? Like there's always a new way of saying it. Maybe they're not understanding it, right? Like it makes perfect sense to me because I wrote it, but to other people it's like, what did he say? What was that? You know, and stuff like that. Was it too quick? So interested in that. Let's see what else I got here. I kind of wrote down like a bunch of comedy updates, so bear with me as I read like introducing Espressoir the Third. But yeah, no, I like about 60 to 80% of my jokes. Gonna have a lot of weird numbers here. Doesn't really matter. I would say of the 20 to 40% I don't like, that like I'm trying to think how I did this math, but it's like of the total 100%, 10 to 25% of the parts I don't like. It's a little weird. All right, 10 to 25% of the whole thing, which is under the window of like don't like, but I don't know. If I had 100 jokes, right? Let me do it very simple or not say percent. If I had 100 jokes, I'd say 60 to 80 of them I like. 20 to 40 of them are just shit. Of those 20 to 40 jokes, I would say that 10 to 25 of them have potential, and then the other 15 to 30 just suck, right? And so like I need to kind of throw away those 15 to 30. Too bad that idea just isn't quite there. It's not funny. People aren't going to get it. I don't even think they're that funny sometimes. Don't know why I write them, because when I read them a second time, I'm like, this is just sad. There's a fine line between self-deprivation and humor. And sometimes you're like, haha, I'm such a loser. And everyone's like, dude, that's not funny. You know what I mean? Like, that's just sad. So, I don't know. Sometimes you can laugh at yourself, but not everyone's going to laugh at you if it's not funny. So, that's interesting there. I think in terms of like bombing, like this was maybe the closest I've been to bombing was this time, but I still had some good jokes. A lot of the room kind of left right before. Very bad timing. Actually, I'll just go into it now. Someone OD'd there. So there's like I said before, there's some homeless people, a lot of people that are sober there because there's like NA and AA that goes on there. And unfortunately, someone basically, used their drugs and then unfortunately OD'd. And I actually think I knew it was because like something kind of rubbed me wrong when I was going to the bathroom. This guy was like being a little shady. And I'm like, oh, hopefully like no one's doing anything. My hopes and prayers go out to nothing but the best for them. That sucks. Not a great existence and stuff like that. Very sad. But that was right at the beginning of my joke. So like if I end up posting it and you see it, you'll hear a lot of talking at the beginning. And at first I was like, all right, guys, shut the hell up. Like I'm trying to say my jokes, but I'm not going to wait for them. I'm just like going through. And then turns out, unfortunately, someone was ODing. So I got a few people that actually said it was nice after the trauma or the drama of it all, just to have like some kind of laughs about it or something to laugh about. It's not like I was making jokes about it. I had no idea what was going on. So that was a little weird. Again, in terms of like almost bombing, just kind of a weird mood to put everyone in. And then I also like lost some of the room because they're out like dealing with whatever's going on there. So kind of is what it is. Not going to dwell in it. Also, some of the jokes actually are doing really well and they hit very frequently. Although in my head, I'm like, I don't want to just keep doing the same jokes over and over. Oh, God, we're at 13 minutes. So I'll try to give this one a little pep in the step. But yeah, so just going back. Oh, yeah, there was this one girl. She was wicked drunk. And it's funny because like her friend's sober, but she was drunk. Could just smell the booze off her. And she's like, I loved you. This was awesome. She's like, do you know Shane Gillis? Because I said Shane. She's like, oh, like Shane Gillis. And then she was talking about like not the Cum Boys. What's it called? Cum Island. I don't know what the Cum City, Cum Town might be the name of it, where it's like Stavros, or Stavros. I think he's so funny. And so that was like pretty good. She's like, that comedy reminds me of them, which is good because that's ultimately like what I was influenced by when I'm writing a lot of this. It's kind of them and their raunchiness. And, I look forward to at some point doing crowd work, but I could see it being tough because the same lady actually called me out because I was like, oh, mustaches are pedos. And she's like, what about goatees? And I'm just like, I should have been like, what about drunk bitches who don't shut the fuck up? Something like that. But it is interesting because like you don't know how mean to be or how nice to be when you're dealing with crowd work. Maybe you're going to like start to research that. At the end of the day, I just want to practice more and more. Anyways, I actually helped a buddy at the Comedy Cabana workshop. Gave him a joke about Canada. That's pretty funny. I was just mentioning how like when I'm up there, the one time I visited, and you have all this change like loonies and toonies, and they're like they sound like coins in your pockets, but they're like $1 and $2, and they'll start to add up. Like you'll have like $20 of coins, and these homeless people will be like, do you have change? And I'm like, I ain't got change. Like these are dollars, motherfucker. And like the way I said it was kind of funny, but he's like, oh, I'm gonna like take, like, is it cool if I take that? I was like, I don't care. Like I don't really think I have much material on it anyways. Like I don't have a whole lot of Canada jokes, and only really makes sense in Canada. I don't know. Not really interested. Not really interested in taking it. It's been cool talking to people because like every joke that you want to say has basically been said. You just need to like make it your own, make it original, which is something I need to get over and kind of just learn. The cool thing about ultimately that is I found out the guy that I gave the joke to, he's kind of does some graphic design work and directing. So I'm thinking about with my screenplays. Sorry, a little indigestion. With my screenplays, with my scripts, working with him, some comedians, and some other actors that I've just kind of met along, maybe the improv people, would love to put something together. I'm all about connecting dots and stuff like that. So he's talking about doing like music videos. I have a few like rappers down here, musicians. It'd be cool to like connect them. I'm really into the idea of starting my podcast off, and one group of people would be like musicians, another group would be like comedians. I just think it'd be interesting to get some perspectives. I'd love to get like business owners interviewing and stuff like that. Shout out my buddy who just joined, who's a business owner himself. Maybe one day he'll be on the pod. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So moving forward, yeah, this is something I kind of alluded to earlier. It's just I've been wearing a lot of hats lately and trying to like juggle like 5, 6 things at once. And I think it'd be good to maybe set aside 1, 2, at the most 3 hats, meaning like what kind of focus I'll be on in the day. Because if I switch between coding and then I switch between landscaping and I'm switching between bartending and then I'm worrying about being a videographer and social media marketing, it's just a lot of hats in one day. And I think the social media kind of realtor hat is going to always be on, maybe most days. But I think it'd be nice to have some days off, some days where it makes sense to kind of chill out and not necessarily kind of burn the candle at both ends. That's something I've definitely been doing. Cool. All right, basically getting the last thing. I've been obsessed with Stanley Kubrick lately. I know you guys probably seen like Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, and stuff like that. Some movies that I've learned more about the movie than actually seeing it, which I'm kind of bummed because sometimes it like ruins it for you. But Doctor Strangelove seems like a really funny satire farce. Really want to check that out. Lolita seems interesting. I just feel like there's a lot to learn about how to take writing and make it actually a screenplay. And Space Odyssey, 2001 Space Odyssey, that's really cool. And like that was actually an instance where at the same time they wrote like the book as the screenplay. It's kind of like 2 and 2. That's kind of similar to what I'm doing. So just trying to like learn from the greats. I love Stanley Kubrick. I love Clockwork Orange and stuff like that. Kind of a messed up movie, but like I just feel like he's way ahead of his time. Him and like Alfred Hitchcock. Even Hitchcock, I honestly haven't seen many of his movies, but I know the name. I know kind of like the theories he has and stuff like that. I think he did like Citizen Kane, something like that. But yeah, so that was an right there to end it. But just really into directing and writing. I kind of watched about like Quentin Tarantino stuff. Really been focused on that. Did a lot of like Greek. Actually, it was more Roman like history. It kind of had like my Roman history week, something like that. But just been getting a lot of source material and inspiration for what my stories will be. I think one thing I'd like to do is like an Edgar Allan Poe realistic fiction, maybe not like directly based on Edgar Allan Poe, but having him as like some sort of hero or like someone that the main character looks up to. Would love to do something on Tesla. I saw recently there was a pretty cool one, some lady in like the 1600s who was like a serial killer or something. It's just like really cool, like some witches. Basically what I'm using is AI to come up with an idea, and then I work with the AI to expand on the idea, and then I kind of sit there behind the scenes with the AI as we build the story out. And if I can get my tool working, it'll actually be pretty cohesive. But right now, like I said, I kind of took a step backwards, so got to figure out how to move forward. Anyways, I'm definitely way too long. This was like a 20-minute episode. So be it, folks. Thank you for everyone who joined. Anyone who's checking after the fact, don't worry about me. Honestly, things have been good. Like even the last week, it wasn't like I was depressed, like all day, sad or anything like that. It was just like when it came time to go live, just really in my head and paranoid. I kind of trumped that up to the smoking weed. Today was a good test of getting over it, kind of owning up to it. And tomorrow's a new day. And so I don't know if Late Night Shane show will be on tomorrow night, but I do guarantee the daily Shane D show will be there. And like I said, I think definitely would like to do like a Sunday podcast or, just post like a longer kind of episode weekly. And so maybe on the weekends, like Saturday, Sunday, I'll start to give myself the day off and see what I can do. Maybe like prep for the next call. We'll see. There'll be plenty more talk in the future. So hope you all have a great day. Thanks for joining. And yeah, wish me luck. I'm wishing you all luck.